let's talk about 3 players in particular, starting with Deebo. I'm not projecting him for the Fred Warner Award or the Michael McGlinchey Award. I think he's already broken out. We know what he can do. And he didn't regress last year. He got hurt. So what do you expect to see from Deebo Samuel in year 3?
I think Deebo Samuel can have a much more similar year to what he did in 2019 if he can stay healthy and take what he did against the Rams this season and kind of multiply that out over a couple more games. And that's a solid year. Kind of what Brandon Ayuk did this year, honestly, but with more touch passes. And especially if Jimmy Garoppolo's there, where touch passes are even more common, then I think Deebo Samuel can really make some guys miss. And think of what's going to happen, especially with the Rams defense, if they can't re-sign John Johnson and they'll only have really Micah Kiser roaming as a linebacker, then that frees up more yards for Deebo Samuel. What the Seahawks are doing on defense, Deebo Samuel can still do well against them. So that's 4 games right there where he can perform pretty well. I think he'll be better. I don't know if he'll necessarily be Pro Bowl level, but I think he'll have a solid, what would have been last year's second full season in the NFL.
Deebo Samuel has such a deep injury history. It's hard to pinpoint or project what he can do under the assumption that he'll just stay healthy a full 16-game season. He can put up massive numbers. And I get into a lot of debates regarding his role in the offense. I think it's totally fine for him to continue to be utilized as an extension of the ground game. We've seen him almost single-handedly win games this past season against the Rams in particular, like Maverick touched on. He can be a 1,200, 1,300 all-purpose yard guy between being an extension of the ground game and running those quick intermediate routes. Going back to the 2019 season, down the stretch against the Rams, week 16, against the Seahawks, week 17, in the playoffs, he was dominant lining up in the backfield and making plays happen. He had that spin move touchdown against the Seahawks Sunday Night Football, week 17. So I expect as long as he's healthy, he can put up huge, huge numbers. And he's a red zone weapon on those jet sweeps.
So I'm with Nick on this. I think, yes, he does have an extensive injury history, but last year it seemed understandable. He broke his foot. That set him back. And the broken foot seemed like a little bit of the reports where he was working out so hard. Maybe he was an overtraining, overuse break. And maybe this year, if he's under the supervision of the 49ers training staff, because the offseason is a little bit more normal, I don't know if he will be, that could bode well for him. As long as he doesn't head into training camp with a broken foot, if he can just stay healthy through June and like the offseason, he should be okay. I feel like he kept trying to rush back and then pulled something. So if he doesn't have that domino effect this year, I think he's going to lead the team in yards from scrimmage because Jimmy relies on him so much. That's Jimmy's guy. And even more so than George Kittle, anyone else. I think Deebo Samuel, with all those jet sweeps, all those short, quick things that he can turn into huge plays. And he's going to have all the motivation to prove that he's still a dominant player after that kind of wasted sophomore season. So Deebo Samuel, I think, is going to have a huge year. I think he's going to stay healthy and have a huge year.
That's a big thing. He had a Liz Frank injury, right? And when you look that up, it says 6 to 12 weeks, but sometimes might take up to a year. And so obviously, when you hurt it in season, you don't get that full year of recovery. Maybe just having the off season will help him out a little and get him back to that 2019 end of year form.
I think so.
This is why I always pause with Deebo Samuel. Here's his injury history. He, as a freshman at South Carolina, missed 7 games with a hamstring injury. Sophomore year, missed 3 games with a hamstring injury. Junior year, broke bone in his leg, missed 10 games. And now year 2 in the NFL, he had the Jones fracture in his foot and then those lingering hamstring issues. So you just
let me address that real quick. It's a good point. I feel like this is a guy who's going to have lingering injury issues the rest of his career. But right now, he's about 23, 24. If there's ever a year for him to put it all together and stay healthy for most of it, I think it's going to be this, because he did it his rookie year. I think he might be able to do it one more time. And he hasn't gotten that paper yet. He's on the mission to get that paper. And he's still pretty young. I'm betting on him in 2021 to do the over of what people expect. But if he doesn't, Nick, you laid out why.